Hello, and welcome to another episode. Look at me, look, always fixing my hair. Another episode of the Sharing with Shani show. I am your host, Shani McElwain. The Sharing with Shani show highlights ordinary people working for an extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. I am excited for another Monday night. Do you guys realize that we are almost at the end of the first 90 days of 2018? Like, we are almost at the end. Like, it's literally 2 weeks left. We've got one Monday left in this whole month. I believe it's one Monday left. I think my calculations are correct. And actually, I don't want to skip ahead, but most Mondays it's women, because I'm a woman, and I think sometimes, I'm not going to say the men are scared to come on my show. I'm not going to say that, but I might be calling them out. But we actually have after tonight, the next 3 shows are all men. It's kind of exciting there. So yeah, the brothers got something to say too. So I'm excited about that. So how's everybody doing? I'm coming back from a speaking engagement. I'm trying to adjust my light. I bought a ring light, y'all, when we decided to move over. When I say me, that's like my team that's in my head, and Mika, because I have to ask her, because she's been my ride or die since the beginning. So I talk to the executive producers, which is myself. And I talk to the director of photography, which is myself. And I was just like, we need to reach more people. Then I went to this leadership conference, right? And this leadership conference was like, you got to expand your territory, and you got to step out of your comfort zone. And behind the scenes is my comfort zone, because I'm a writer. So, I put my feelings down on paper, and then you read it, and then you read it and you talk about it. And it's funny, because when I look back on my childhood, I was the only child. And so me and my mom had a really, really close and great relationship. But whenever I wanted to express myself, I would write her a letter. So I would write her a letter, and then, we talk about what I wrote afterwards, even up until the end, when she transitioned, and I wrote her a letter, and we had a moment I didn't want her to leave Earth before she was proud of me, before I did something that would make her proud. And at the time that she died, I didn't really think I was living my best life, or my full potential, as a woman, as a mother, as anything, And I had wrote her this letter, and she said, "I've been proud of you since day one." It was the best thing ever she could have told me. And so, so with that, I'm going to get misty-eyed. I'm going to bring up Mika Fresh, and I have done a horrible job, because we said that we were going to remember the topics that we talk about. And Mika, I don't remember what we talked about last week, but hopefully you do.
Yeah.
And we could get right in it. And so how you living?
And live in color, right?
I know. Your lighting is really good. Well, what kind of light do you have?
A ceiling fan with 4 bulbs in it.
Really? Mm-hmm. I got a ceiling fan with I don't know.
It's right over me.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is your light behind you?
I got 2. Look, this is what I'm working with. I got 2 lights.
Okay.
I got 2.
Are they in front of you? Facing you?
No, they're on the floor, because I can't see. So when I put them on the desk, I get blurry eye. But it's so much better. All right. You know what? Forget it.
What if you face one up and one right below your head?
I tried. I did that last week, and
okay.
Really, I like this. All right, let me move. Oh, okay. All right. So what were we talking about last week?
Are we putting in the work?
Putting in the work. Yeah.
Yep.
I believe I am.
Okay.
Yes. I'm tired.
Cool.
I put in the work. Absolutely. Yes.
It's funny. Okay, so this just I'm gonna put a pin in that. I'm making a note. I'm gonna change what I was gonna talk about today.
Oh, okay.
Right. To are we being productive?
Because all work ain't good work. Some work is busy work.
Right. And the reason I say that is just because, yeah, sometimes we like to do things to make ourselves, so that we're like constantly moving. But if we are putting in all this work and we don't see the payout, then we're not being productive. And I totally understand everything comes in its season, and like there's a time and a place for everything, and it's not harvest season and blah blah blah, but you will still see the fruits of your labor. Just as a gardener, and I'm not a master gardener or anything like that. However, I got a nice little garden. We grow about 12 to 20, depending on the season, 12 to 20 different produce varieties. And even when it is not harvest time, you see the fruits of your labor. You see things budding. You see things flowering. You see things reproducing. So I know that when I go out there and, water my crop in the morning or late at night, even though it's not time to pick what I've planted yet, I see it like, oh, it's growing. It's almost ready. So it's like, I am working, I am tired, and I know that I'm working, but I am also being very productive. So for the people who are, and again, it kind of goes back to, let's see, I think at the top of, are we putting in work? I may have talked about just, random individuals that we hire all of these, we hire all of these coaches and, life coaches and business coaches, and we sign up for free webinars or paid webinars and how-to videos and self-help books and all these other things. But, what is the outcome? So it's like, are we being productive? So no, it's going to be a 2-part tonight. So with are we being productive? Then I feel like don't wait until you're feeling sick and tired before you make a move, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. So it's like when we're doing these things and we're not seeing the results that we want to see, don't wait until we're sick and tired. Like, don't just sit on it. This is a really good way to improve self-discipline. When you don't wait until you're sick and tired. Waiting until, for some people, it works, right? Procrastinators, even me. With certain things, I have, what's it called? I have internal motivation. I am, self-intrinsic, all those buzzwords. I'm all that. But there is one area where I have like almost no self-discipline. And that is when it comes to like my physical health regimen. Somebody has to light a fire up under my bleep in order for me to really get serious about it. I will sit back and like watch everybody else, transform their bodies into whatever. And then I'm like, oh, I should do that. And that's as far as I go, Right. And so I decided, what's today? Monday, Sunday, Saturday, I think. I was watching something and I said, I am I don't calorie count, but, you know, I do pay attention to what I eat. I don't restrict calories, but I make sure like I eat a well-balanced, healthy meal for what my body needs. And we all know that I have a sweet tooth and like I bleed chocolate if you cut me. And so I've even gotten better with restricting, you know, like how many times we got to eat a cupcake or a chocolate cake. And even though they're vegan, it doesn't really matter. It's still, you know, sugars and empty calories and etc. And so I was sitting there on Saturday and I don't even really know what prompted it. I went to Zumba on Thursday and I got off of work early, like all week. Okay, so from last Thursday, I was excited that I was going to go to Zumba this Thursday because with my work schedule changing the way that it did, it really interrupted my Zumba schedule. So now I only get to go every other Thursday. And that was after being away from it since like October. I was doing really well. From July all the way to October, I went twice a week, every week. And then all of a sudden I couldn't go from October until January. And then in February, I think I went twice. So I was like, I got to get back on it. So my schedule opened up to where I could do every other week. And I was like, no matter how I'm feeling, I'm going to do every other week. So Thursday I get off early and I'm still telling myself, go to Zumba, go to Zumba. And I forgot to tell myself, don't overwhelm yourself with all these things that you can't normally do because you're working. And now that you're off, you want to do them all. So it was like towards the end of the day, I had to force myself to sit down. So I didn't feel like I worked a full day before going to Zumba. And at 7:05, I showed up. So a few minutes late, but I showed up and I worked out and it felt good. And in that moment, I said out loud, something I always encourage people to do, but I was not really like aware if I'm doing it myself. So I made myself say out loud, I am committing to this particular workout routine and not relying on somebody going with me to the gym, somebody coming with me to Zumba. I'm going to do it myself. I'm capable enough of doing it. I don't like doing it. I don't like doing it alone, if that makes sense. I get bored very quickly and it's difficult for me to stay focused because I am bored. It's not even because it hurts or anything. I'm just like, I'm bored. So I sat down and I wrote out like a list of exercises that I wanted to do, and I don't need anything to do them. So I have no excuse. So this morning I woke up, I started with a few yoga poses, and before I even went to the bathroom, I did 2 sets of ab work. And I was like, okay, I'm going to continue to do this. Even if it is just 10 minutes in the morning, I'm going to do this. And so now I feel like I'm being more productive.
Right.
But I hate that I waited to the feeling sick and tired. You know,
right.
I don't like that feeling because then self-guilt comes in, self-shame comes in, and you're like, well, why did I wait? And blah, 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 blah. You know, so I had to cut all that out and just go for it. So what I'm doing is I'm encouraging people to not wait until that feeling of being sick and tired, because along with that comes some other things. And the longer we feed our procrastination, the longer we feed our slothful spirit, because that's really what it is, the harder it's going to be to break out of it. So just snap yourself out of it. Fake it till you make it.
Right.
I'm a firm believer in faking it till you make it because it works.
Right. It's funny that we're talking about being productive today, Mika, because so I was down in North Carolina on Saturday, and had the pleasure of speaking at a conference hosted by Letitia Nicole. And one of the things I love acronyms. So I was breaking out change your mind, change your business. And we broke out the word change. And my G word was go. Get up.
Okay.
Get up and go. And it comes from my book, but essentially, and I use this reference point that the word go appears in the Bible over 1,500 times.
I bet.
Right? Yeah. It's an action word, right? And so we can't you know, and this applies, this precept, this thing I'm about to share, nugget, however. You're the whisper tip. So this is our whisper tip of the day, by the way. I didn't mention that.
Okay.
We have to look, you can pray for all these things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't activate, if you don't go and do something about it, it's not God can do anything. Okay, it has nothing to do with how awesome God is, right? But God is in partnership with us, right? It's a partnership. It's a relationship. So he's got some special sauce, and then we got some special sauce, and then together, that's where everything comes alive. Like, and so we have to go, right? We got to go. We got to do something. We get up and go. Be productive, and and do things that are bringing you substance and fulfillment. And because once you start on your and I'm speaking to myself now, because I will catch an Uber in a minute to go 2 blocks. That's just stupid. It's just like, Shani, walk. Get your heart rate up. Come on now. Like, sweat a little. And so it applies to our health, our wealth, everything that we do. It takes action. That's the bottom line I'm trying to say.
It definitely does. And two, I think, I mean, you have people who are really okay with being complacent, right? Like, they really do the bare minimum. It works for them. They have no inspirations in life. You know what I mean? Like, they are just like, whatever, my life works for me the way that it is. Okay. And I'm not here to fight you on that. But I know for me, that does not work. I do not desire to be complacent or just okay, mediocre, average by my own standards, not anybody else's, my very own standards. So I looked at myself, and I'm like, you're not overweight, you're not underweight, but you could use some work. Same thing with finances. A lot of people who aren't like rich, right? They're going, oh, I'm comfortable. So sometimes they don't really desire to or work for more, because they're like, well, I have everything I need. I don't need anything else. But for some people, they have that drive where they're like, yeah, I can pay my bills and I can do what I want, but let's just see how much further I can go. And it's not necessarily about greed either. It is about having a particular drive so that they can accomplish more, so that they can do more, so that they can go more. And so I thought about my own like internal drive, and it was diminished for a while. Life happens, right? And we all deal with it in different ways. So for me, it was like being unemployed for 4 years while going to school and watching a new business venture that I've never done before. I took one business class and escaped, I think, because the teacher just liked me, to be honest with you. Because I remember sitting in that class like, who likes this stuff? So, becoming a business owner and watching it go up and then crash, I had my internal drive. It was like it was there, but it was missing that activator. Like you said, it was missing some things. And so like I said, I fake it till I make it. I will talk things out loud. I speak it. I manifest all day. That's what I do. And so I decided to turn my manifestations inward. I've done it so much so my coworker told me today, she said, I have a kettlebell. I want to bring it in. Can we do office workouts together? Because she saw me like wiping my face and changing my shirt. And I was like, yeah, I just finished my workout. And she was like, I have a kettlebell. Can I bring it in? Let's do stuff. You know it. Let's do it. Let's go for it. So are we being productive? Don't wait until that sick and tired feeling to be productive.
Absolutely. Mika.
Yeah.
Out in these social media streets, where can they find you?
IG, Instagram. I've been trying to some of my Instagram following has been a little like stuck, right? I was obsessive about it for this one time. I downloaded this app, like the Follow Me app, so you can see like people, these are all ploys, people who follow you just to get a follow and then they unfollow you and this and that, whatever. And I had got really obsessive about it for probably a solid month, just checking this thing. And like, I'm going to unfollow anybody that unfollowed me. And then I stopped and I was like, this is crazy. Are you serious right now? Like, your energy is being completely wasted. And I thought about the people that are active. You know, when I make a post, they comment. My insights are pretty high for that. Even though I don't have, I haven't cracked 1,000 or whatever, my insights as far as interaction, engagement, that's the word, engagement is concerned, is pretty high. So I push IG because it gives me, to me, more of a platform to kind of to merge myself with my brand. And I like it, and it's responsive. So it's being productive. Most of my new customers, t-shirt sales, herb sales, juice sales, all of that comes from Instagram. So when you ask me where I am in these social media streets, I'm on IG like all day.
Right.
But I'm responsive to all of them. So I'll drink to that juice bar on Facebook and Instagram. That's the handle. ILL drink to that juice bar. That's where we are.
And Instagram gave me much love in 2017 and starting out now too, because most of our special guests for 2018 came from Instagram. I was pushing Instagram hard. My thing is pictures. I go to a lot of events, but I don't always be, my assistants are like 8 and 9. I can't get back. I take right pictures. I really can't, so like, it is what it is, right? They be taking pictures of themselves. So, when they start their business, they will have a lot of, and so I've had to, because I'm a writer first, so I've had to train my brain to say, show pictures, show content. Right. So, and so, and then Twitter, Twitter, that's where the authors hang out. Twitter is supposed to be, in the author world. So I definitely need to upgrade my social media status. But that's a goal for quarter two. That's a goal.
I have an issue with pictures as well, to be honest with you. Like I will, when it is juice bar season, which is like right around the corner, and I have the truck out there, I don't allow myself enough time to maybe start the day off with, the different menu items that we have, snap a picture so I can show people, hey, this is what we have on the menu today. Right. I kind of like don't really, again, being a business owner, right? So I'm not in business mode until like that first customer comes up. Right. And the way the juice bar works is like when that first customer comes up, there is usually an influx of people right behind her. And so we do this, like, it's really crowded to like there's nobody at all. So when there's nobody at all, I'm not thinking, hey, make a drink, snap a picture. Exactly. Make people thirsty, bring them out here. Yeah. So,
but I got a co-author in my book, and the latest book that came out. I have a co-author in that book. That she is the picture queen, hands down. She and she uses them because in her business, it's all about marketing, right? She's always looking ways to market. So yeah, I'm gonna get her to give us a webinar.
Oh yeah, that'd be dope.
I'm gonna give her a webinar. So Ladrine, if you listening, we need to hook us up. So Mika, I thank you for always coming on, and I know you be zooming home on Monday nights, to come on and give us your whisper tip of the night. And so I appreciate you. Mad love to you, and see you next Monday.
All right. Peace.
All right. So folks, our special guest, I'm excited. I met her last year at the 2017 Indie Author Legacy Awards, where she was the recipient. And she can tell me it was 17 categories. I don't remember, but she won. All I know is she won. She was a winner, right? And so she'll be able to tell you which category she actually won her award in. But just give you a little bit about Sharise Nance. I love her. In her bio, she says she is fascinated by the human mind. I love that. I love that, right? So she's fascinated by the human mind, human potential, the impact relationships and environments have on one's life, and the change process. She's a licensed clinical social worker, speaker, and as I said, award-winning and best-selling author, co-owner and founder of Hand in Hand counseling services, and over 18 years experience working in a diverse population that helps families, children, couples struggling with life transitions. And so let me change the name. Sorry about that. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Sharise Nance to the show tonight. How are you?
Hello. Thank you, Shani. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell our listeners and our viewers, I keep trying to say that we're not listeners anymore. It's people watching us, right? Yep. I need to put some lipstick on. But anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words.
Okay. I was impressed by the...
You went out. We can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Trying to get this microphone together because I love this Blue Yeti. I use it on my live webinar, so I'm in love.
Yes, I got one too.
I love it. Yes. So yes, just to piggyback on the things that you already said about me, I love the work I do. I've been in the social services profession for about 18 years. People are always surprised when I say 18 years. Well, when did you start doing this work? I did this work when I was still in college. It's when I started doing this work. I have always been fascinated by the human mind. I'm just fascinated by the way people think, why they do the things that they do. I'm fascinated by relationships, the way people interact with each other. So I've been passionate about that since I was a little girl. My family teased me that every time they asked me to do something, I would always say why. Why was always my favorite question. So they're not surprised by the type of work that I do because I like to get in the mind. And more importantly, I love listening to stories. I love hearing stories because that's the way you really get to know and understand someone, by really hearing their story, getting an understanding of where they came from, what they're going through, and that'll help them get from where they are to where they want to be.
And that's funny that you say that because I like telling stories.
Oh, we would be a good match.
Yes, I am a storyteller, and I don't mean like I be telling fibs, y'all. I be sharing the story, and I teach with stories because I think a story is the best way. Yes. Because for myself, I learn from a story. You give me a story and connect it with things that I gotta that I have to retain. I'm there. I'm all in. I love stories. Right? I love a good story, and I'm really good I remember being in school, like junior high school, and I would be able to tell a movie so well that they would be like, "Shani, don't tell me what happened," because I was very detailed from a kid. So the fact that you like hearing the story and I like telling it, yeah, that's like a perfect match, right? Just tell me a little bit. I know our topic tonight, we were going to discuss transition from employee to entrepreneur. And I know there's a lot of people listening. I'm going to shout out a few of them. Eric, always a faithful listener. Ladrine is on. I think it was a few other people that might have came on and came back off. But even in the replay, people will hear this conversation. So I think it's a perfect topic that we can have tonight about transitioning from employee to entrepreneur. Now, you don't know my story, but I'm gonna say that for what you have. But can you just share a little bit about how you transitioned from employee to entrepreneur?
I had to take a deep breath. It was quite a journey. I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Didn't always know in what capacity I wanted to do it in. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs in my family. They own bar businesses. Found out that wasn't quite for me. Wanted to do something in the helping profession and became a therapist in 2007. I've always been a social worker, never knew I'd be a therapist, but I still always had that entrepreneur spirit. When I'm working for someone else, I'm going to do the job to the best of my ability, because I'm not about slander my name, looking bad. And more importantly, I know the type of work that I do, other people's lives are literally in my hands as a social worker, as a helping professional. However, I wasn't always happy with the mission of the companies that I work for. And something that I learned early on is that when your mission isn't aligned with the company that you work for, you're going to be miserable. That can lead to depression, anxiety. When we're talking about mental health, that can do it. People get burned out very quickly when they stay at a job that they're not happy with, or they don't follow their intuition or their spirit. I was at a job for about close to 4 or 5 years, and we started building the private counseling practice back in 2013. I have a partner. Her name is Tess Kinney, and we've always talked about it. And if I could have left, I probably would have left 3 or 4 years ago, but I knew that probably wouldn't have been a good financial decision. So I was patient and I waited. And I remember going to this women's conference in Erie, PA back in March. I met this fantastic woman. She's my business coach. Her name is Tiffany McLeod. And she talked about setting that buy-win date. And I'm like, okay, it's time to set that date. I've been playing around with this for too long. So I was excited. I set the date like, okay, yes, the date is going to be in September. And my husband's like, September? That's too far away. And I'm like, well, that gives me 6 months to plan. He's like, well, you've been planning for the past 4 years. So I'm like, all right, let me pray on this. Let me meditate. Let me really. And it just felt like God was speaking that you got to go in July. It's time to go in July. And I'm like, July? It's March. That doesn't give me enough time. And he's like, well, you got to do it. And it's just something kept pulling at my spirit. So I'm like, all right, July 7th, 2017 it is. 7 is completion. It felt like it was coming full circle for me. So I just started putting it out there. And I remember the day that I was going to give my supervisor my resignation, it was bittersweet. It's like, wow, this is really it. I'm not resigning and going to another job. I'm resigning to do my business, because I have 2 brands as well, Shani. I heard you say that. I'm resigning to be a full-time businesswoman. I've never done this before. So I'm getting anxiety. I'm using the grounding and coping skills that I help clients with. I'm using them on myself. I'm deep breathing. I'm grounding myself. And I give her the resignation. And I remember her saying, wow, so, what company are you going to? I said, mine. I'm going to build my brand. And she's like, really? I said, yeah, it's time. And she just couldn't believe it. So you're just going to do a business. You're not going to have a job. Like, aren't you afraid? I said, a little, but it's time. I've been comfortable for too long. I've had a full-time job and built this business for about 4 or 5 years. And the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. It was time for me to get a little bit more uncomfortable, because something that I know about business, when you put part-time efforts into it, you're going to get part-time results. If I want to take this to another level, I got to be all in. There was no more toe dipping, no more straddling the fence. It's time to be completely in if I really want this thing to blow up the way I know it could blow up. So July 7th, 2017 was my last day as a full-time employee, and I'm thankful for everything I learned from that company and other companies. What I learned was the way I wanted to structure my organization, the way I wanted to build it, the type of people I wanted to give opportunities to, how I would treat them, and, you know, the tone that would be set. So I'm thankful for all those lessons that I learned. I'm still excited. There, some days are not so good, but you know, I don't look back, and I'm just thankful that I was able to do that about 8 months ago.
Yeah. When you said, I resonated with the part of comfort.
Yes.
Because, you know, I just shared with a group of small business owners down in North Carolina this weekend. My story is a little bit different. I didn't have an exit strategy. I actually got fired from my job, right? But the reason why I can laugh about it now is because I knew when God told me 8 years ago to write a book, right? He would set me up for greater things than just a book, right? So, but I was complacent because I was at a job for 12 years that was easy. The money was easy. The job was easy. Like I didn't have stress. My friends envied me because I never had a work complaint.
Oh, wow.
I never had.
Wow.
I literally did not. Exactly. It's like so funny. Like I didn't complain about my job until they let us go and didn't pay us. And even then, and I had something to complain about. Even then, like till this day, I was just sharing with my best friend earlier today. I was like, you know, I miss my coworkers from that job. Like I really missed them. It was we were family. And you know, but I was there, I would probably say I was there five years too long.
Yeah.
I was there 5 years. I'm gonna go all the way 5 years prior. 5 years too long. I stayed. I got complacent, and I remember when the day that we got our pink slips, I literally heard God. I was not even like worried. This is really weird because I was the breadwinner of my family, and so for me to not have a job, and at the time when I lost my job, my husband was sitting in the hospital with end-stage renal with no insurance. We didn't even know. They told us we're closed. By the way, y'all not getting paid Friday, and by the way, we don't have insurance, right? And so this was all on a Tuesday in March, right? It was exactly 4 years ago today, and I remember sitting up there thinking that I was going to be okay, and I heard the Holy Spirit say, now you can finish your book. And so in the 6 weeks or so that I was out of work, because I lost my job on March 14th, I started working on May 5th. And I had put my resume into, I think I had applied to like 600 jobs. I'm a bit over 600. But I was literally every other day, I was either on a Zoom interview, a phone interview, several face-to-face interviews a week. I was applying so many different places. And in the meantime, I would be applying because I worked, looking for a job became a full-time job for me.
Yeah, right? It is.
And so I would send my resumes, have these conversations, but I was still finishing that book. I said, you know what? God got my attention for the 5th time, and I am going to finish this book. And literally, after I finished that book is when a job called me to say that they would offer me the position. Right? Yeah. And so took that job, hated that job, but that's a whole nother Share with Shani show. But yeah, worked that job a year and a half, was able to turn my manuscript in, hire Purposely Created. The rest is history. But yeah, I got fired October 2015 and never looked back since. At that point, I was just thinking that I'm already interning. I'm already learning the author speaker life. Like it just kind of, I did look for other jobs at that point, but I was just like, you know what? I could probably do this. And with the unemployment check, I started Practical Partners. Story's a little bit different, but I think the biggest common denominator is we had faith and we just did it. Like we did it, and no longer being complacent. I would think so, right?
Right, definitely. I mean, I was definitely in a place of comfort, having that security income and using my business as extra income, and people who are watching who may know me probably think I'm super motivated all the time. I'm very disciplined. Actually, I enjoy laying on a couch, and sorry, OJ, that's my personal trainer if he's watching, but I love eating cookies. I just love eating cookies. I love cookies. I do work out. I try to eat clean most of the time, but if I could have it my way, I would be in my onesie on my couch watching cookies. I mean, watching cookies. I wouldn't be watching them. I would be eating them and watching TV. But I know that's not going to get me to where I want to be. That I know that's not going to help me get to my end result, whatever that is, or to my long-term goals. And that's what I call my comfort zone. And as long as I stayed on my job and did this business part-time and, sold the books and did speaking, number one, my plate was full. I felt like I was getting burnt out. And then number two, it's like I'm dipping in each area. I need to make a commitment to one. Something has to come off the plate. It wasn't going to be my marriage. It wasn't going to be my businesses. So the job had to go. So that was a decision that, I had to make for me and my family.
Mm-hmm. And Sharise, can you just tell us a little bit about what you provide for other helping professionals?
Yes. So I'm a licensed therapist, and I have the brand Vitamin C Healing. And Vitamin C Healing was born from the book Vitamin C Healing for the Mind, Body, and Soul. That's actually the book that won the Health and Wellness Award at the 2017 India Awards. Oh my God, I cried. My husband cried. I've never seen him cry. He cried. I was so excited because I'm not from Maryland. I love that area, but to just be honored for your work in a place where no one knows you, they just appreciate your art and your work. So that was pretty amazing. But back on topic, Vitamin C Healing, my husband actually came up with that name for the brand because it encompasses everything that I do. When you take vitamin C, you are hoping to be healed. Vitamin C is the nutrient that heals sicknesses. It heals illnesses. It's a nutrient that makes you feel better. So when people experience my speaking, my workshops, my books, my workbooks, the online courses, I'm hoping that they get a sense of healing. They feel fulfilled. And that is why we call it Vitamin C Healing. Now, what we do for helping professionals and caregivers is we enhance the emotional wellness of the helping professionals and caregivers who are struggling with self-care, work-life balance, burnout, and compassion fatigue. And for those of you who don't know what compassion fatigue is, it's a form of burnout, but it's something that people who witness and experience pain, trauma, and suffering from doing the direct line work every day, like social workers, therapists, case managers, firefighters, doctors, people who are on the front line being compassionate about caring for other people. Unfortunately, there can be a price that we pay for caring if we're not doing it safely and if we're not doing it mindfully.
Awesome.
So, so as far as the Vitamin C Healing brand, with offering compassion fatigue to helping professionals and caregivers, we host a live webinar so that people can get their questions answered. They can experience us online. And why am I so passionate about this? Well, there's always a story. Working the jobs that I've done, being in this profession for 18 years, I've experienced compassion fatigue at least about 3 or 4 times. And during those times, I actually questioned whether or not I could continue doing this work that I love so much. The first couple times, I didn't know what I was experiencing. I was still in school. I was going to school full time. I was working. I was doing an internship. I was just all over the place. But, I thought that I was just a little bit tired. I need to just keep going on. So I did, and it was fine. But it happened again when I was working as a classroom therapist for school with boys who experienced all types of trauma. The trauma they experienced, it was horrific. So they came to school and they were often very triggered. It was just a really tough situation. I was exhausted. I would cry on my way into work. I would cry on my way home because the drive was so long, and I loved the work I did, but I felt guilty because I hated it. I hated it and I loved it at the same time. And it's like, I'm too deep in this work. Like, I can't quit now. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not a quitter. I would feel like I was quitting. I got to figure something out. Well, lo and behold, God hears you. And I got laid off. And it was bittersweet for me because I had never been laid off. I'm like, I don't know if I should be excited or if I should cry. How am I supposed to feel? And the way I got laid off, they called me when I was on my way home. I'm like, you could have told me this before I went in work or while I was there. Right. So I got a phone call saying that I had been laid off, and I used this time to, take a little break and got a certification. I wasn't ready to open a business yet, but it gave me the chance to get refueled. Still didn't know what compassion fatigue or really what burnout was until recently, about 2.5 years ago, right after we got married. I was doing a lot. I was working a full-time job, building a business, probably writing another book, working out 6 times a week. And I couldn't even offer my full self to my husband. I would come home exhausted. I would fall asleep in mid-conversation. I was irritable all the time. And then I went to this training and they talked about trauma and vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue. And I'm like, wow, I think this is me right now. So I grabbed every piece of literature I could on this topic. And I'm like, oh my God, this is me. I'm telling my husband about it. He's like, how many of you are out there? How many people can you help? And I'm just thinking of a lot of my friends who do this work. I'm thinking of my partner at the time at my full-time job. I'm like, there's so many people who could be helped. There's a book. There's a book for this. Yes. And that's when I wrote Walking the Tightrope of Life, Refuel, Renew, Recenter Your Work-Life Demands. And I talked about compassion fatigue and work-life balance and being okay with taking a day off. We're grinders. We want to help. And we get so wrapped up in everybody else, we forget about ourselves. And it was another workbook. So that's how that book was born. And then that's when I started creating the workshops and expanded vitamin C healing to, this is what the vitamin C healing brand is. It's for helping professionals and caregivers who are experiencing this, because I want them to get healed. I want them to take care of themselves. And that's when I really got a grip on exactly what I wanted vitamin C healing to be.
That's awesome. And so, we hear a lot about work-life balance and what can we do to, to prevent exhaustion, to prevent, just being overly stretched in so many areas. So can you just give our viewers just maybe we don't want you to give the book away. We actually
I'm not. I'm better at
that. Just tell it. But after you give just maybe like 1 or 2 tips,
right?
Where can we get the book? Where can we get your resources?
Okay, so the most important tip, and it is a chapter in a book where I talk about energy management and time management. Everybody talks about time management, right? Oh, you got to manage your time better. You got to get better at time management. But the key, what I've learned and what I've read is the key to time management is energy management. Where is your energy going? For example, you're a helping professional. Most helping professionals probably see between 5 and 10 clients in one day in some capacity, whether you're doing therapy, whether you're a nurse, a doctor, a case manager, a caregiver, you're seeing between 5 and 10 clients a day, right? So you're exerting energy each time you are seeing a client. Energy is being absorbed between you and your client. So by the 5th or 6th client, most of the times we're pretty exhausted, but we often do not listen to our minds and our bodies. We just keep going. So my advice is to really be mindful of energy management, where your energy is going, who is absorbing your energy. Something else I wanted to say about energy. And so if you're having those 5 or 6 clients, being mindful about how you're scheduling people and the type of energy they absorb, because if you don't have the energy, then the time is going to suffer. So being more mindful about energy management in order to get better at managing your time. And I talk a lot about that in Walking a Tightrope of Life, Refuel, Renew, Recenter. And the second tip is know when used appropriately can be your best friend. It's the strongest 2-letter statement that we can use. Think of a 2-year-old. 2-year-olds have no problem telling us no, but somewhere between 2 and when we become 22, we feel guilty about saying no. It's okay to say no. When we say no, we are setting boundaries. We are teaching people how to treat us. We are teaching them boundaries. So being mindful of your energy management, who you're giving energy to, how energy is being absorbed from you, and saying no.
Sharise, my favorite, and I had to learn this. It took a long time because I was a people pleaser for probably 38 years. I'm 42 now, right? Mm-hmm. No is a complete sentence.
Yes, it is. It is.
No is a complete statement. And because I was a people pleaser, and because it's twofold. I was a people pleaser and I was running from my purpose. So I would spend my energy on busy work instead of doing things that filled me, that I was supposed to do, that I was called to do, right? And I used other things, and I would sign up for other things that I didn't want to do, but I didn't want to do what I was supposed to do, so I would just do that. And but I was exhausted. Like I was exhausted and not happy because I was doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. And so no is a complete sentence. And you don't have to explain, because when I first started to say no, it would be no, comma, and a whole reason why.
And now you're in a power struggle.
Yes.
You're in a tug of war, and then there's the energy management. So now you're exerting energy, and then you're wasting time. So you see how it's a domino effect. No, energy management, time management. Exactly. So they're all connected.
Right.
All connected.
Right. And then I learned something today. A friend told me today that because she was going to use this, and I said, I need to use this too. The right to change your mind. Right. Yeah. Like you could. It's okay to say, after careful review of this,
absolutely,
this is not going to work for me, right?
It doesn't have to be certain. It doesn't have to be absolute. And
right.
That's great advice.
Right. I love it. So we're almost, time flies when you're having fun.
Sure it does.
Yeah. But Sharise, where can people get in contact with you if they need to book you for your services, if they want to get a copy of your books? How can people reach you?
So the books can be purchased at www.vitaminchealing.com. That's one word, VITAMINCHEALING.com. All the books can be purchased there. People can get a hold of. I can also be booked there for workshops, speaking engagements, keynote speaking, or you can email me info@vitaminchealing.com. I'm on Facebook under Sharise Nance. I respond to messages pretty quickly. And we have quite a few events coming up.
Yes.
If you are in Pittsburgh or near the Pittsburgh area, or maybe you've never been to Pittsburgh, you just want to take a trip up here. Me and a couple of my colleagues, my personal trainer, OJ Macklin, and my workout buddy and good friend, Nicole, Nikki Magic Wands. She created these wonderful magic wands for makeup. We are having our first annual Business Mixer Expo, and that's going to be on Saturday, April 7th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's right here in Pittsburgh. And that information is on eventbrite.com. And it's also on my Facebook page at Sharise Nance. So we're looking forward to that. It'll be an opportunity for aspiring business owners, newer business owners, or even the seasoned vets to connect and rejuvenate your business and to network. Anybody who has out there a network, because if our mouths are closed, our business doors are closed. So we got to get out there and make sure that people know us and make sure that we get that visibility. There will be vendors. There's going to be a speaker talking about processes and systems. She's awesome. And I also have my weekly webinars in March on Thursdays at 6 p.m. You can find it on vitaminchealing.com/events. It's a free live webinar. And I am talking about your self-care matters. I'm going more in depth about taking care of ourselves as caregivers, helping professionals, and even entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs, sometimes we don't sleep. We work. We grind. We feel guilty when we're not working because we're afraid of being put out of business. Maybe we have that perfectionism complex, or, afraid of, if you're sleeping, a competition is working. I know all those cliches. I used to live by them, but we also need to find time to relax and disconnect. One of my favorite sayings is we have to intermittently disengage in order to passionately re-engage. So it's okay.
I love that.
Breaks. Intermittently disengaging to passionately re-engage. For all of you people who work out, think about sprinters. Sprinters are at full speed for up to 30 seconds, and then they rest for at least a minute and 30 seconds. Then they sprint, then they rest. This is not a marathon. It's okay to sprint and rest, but you have to rest. You have to rest. The brain needs rest, and you can die from lack of sleep, because that's stress, and your body can go into all types of bad things can happen, but you have to rest and you have to disconnect.
I like that. I had to I had to type it. I wanted to type it in Word, so I make sure I spelled it correctly.
Intermittently, disengage and passionately re-engage. Yes.
Right. I'm like, wait a minute. Let me not type it. I don't know if Be Live is going to catch the misspelled word. It's been, Yolanda said tweak that. Yes, I love that. Sharise, I'm excited. Yes,
I definitely get to come on.
I want to connect with you offline. I feel like we got some great. I just feel something.
There's something there, because this half hour went extremely quickly, and there's still some unfinished business.
Exactly. So, if you want to connect with Sharise Nance, please go to vitaminchealing.com. I'm already checking out the April 7th thing, and I'm kind of mad that I'm not even going to be in town to drive up to Pittsburgh. But, there's always a next.
Yeah. There's always a next.
There's always a next. But go get the book, Vitamin C Healing. That's the one that I had the privilege of reading as part of, I was in the nomination phase. Yes. And then it eventually won. So I'm really, thank you, Ladrine. Great interview. Thank you so much. And so I'm excited. Good luck to your first business expo and all the things that you are doing. Stay connected.
I will.
And all that great stuff. The Sharing with Shani show highlights ordinary people working for an extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. You can find us every Monday night here on Facebook Live, where we just highlight ordinary people. And I think And I pray that you have been informed, been entertained, been inspired, all of the things that could possibly come from listening to a live show on a Monday night, outside of watching the premiere of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I hope that that's my competition these days. Yeah. So, but I don't take it for granted that you came on and listened to this show or the rebroadcast. And so I appreciate you all. Thank you again, Sharise, for coming on tonight. Next week, our special guest will be Russ Williamson Sr., author, speaker, and business owner, and such a wise man of God. And so I'm looking forward to that interview. And again, thanks to Mika Fresh for coming on to talk about productivity. And so this has been the Sharing with Shani show. See you next Monday.